I'm Joshua Patrick Dudley, and I'm the writer, director, executive producer, and I play Jack in the movie Theta. My character Jack is pretty much based on me. All of Theta is pretty much based on real life minus the murdering part. But I was in a relationship with a man who cheated on me with a woman, and, for therapy, I wrote a movie about killing them to get over it. And that's the honest truth of the situation. I would never enact something like that in real life, going out and killing somebody, but it sounded like an interesting idea for an original horror movie. So it was something I kind of started working on. And originally Theta was called Wifey, because that was my nickname that my boyfriend or ex-boyfriend had given me. And it's important to know that my ex-boyfriend and many of my ex-boyfriends consider themselves to be straight. So that was a big factor in this movie too, that basically my character was a gay guy who dated a straight guy that ended up cheating on him with a woman and then chose the woman over him. Jack's character finds out that he's dying of a brain tumor, and this kind of sends him over the edge. And in what you see in the movie, it's more of a panic state for him in the opening scene where he's sitting and talking about it with Rachel's character Karen in the movie. When we first see Jack in Theta, in the version that we released, he's a mess. He wakes up from a nightmare about his ex cheating on him with the girl, and the girl kills him, and he sees the Theta symbol hanging on the wall in the apartment he's staying in, which is the apartment of his friend Karen, and he Googles it and finds out it's the ancient Greek symbol of death. And they kind of go into this big conversation about the future, and he tells her his dirty secret that he's dying, and it's an emotional thing. And then they plot to kill his ex and the girl he cheated on him with together. So Jack and Karen, their names are based on the two sidekick characters from Will and Grace, and those are the names that Rachel and I affectionately refer to each other as in real life. So I wanted to write a movie that finally had those nicknames in it for us. So we're Jack and Karen, and Rachel is actually responsible for naming a lot of the characters in the movie. I named a lot of the main characters, but she named all of the fraternity and sorority pledges, and she gave everybody their last names. Turns out Rachel's really good at naming people, so if you ever need help with baby names or character names, contact Rachel. After we filmed the opening originally and watched it all the way through, we felt like it kind of took too long to get going. Yes, we had that opening dream sequence that also involves a horror movie, so it's two kind of fake out horror scenes in a row. You have the horror movie, and then you have my dream death sequence, and then I wake up from that. But then all the talking after, while it had some good jokes in it, it was a little long and it was a little played out. So Rachel and I sat down and we talked about it, and we decided I was going to rewrite it. So I did. And you can now read the version we were going to use in the final version of the script, but it's way funnier and it's way more intense. Rachel's character Karen comes home, and I'm sacrificing a cat ritualistically because I've already discovered the Theta symbol, and it was the ancient symbol of death, and I found this ritual in this old book that I think it can restore my life by sacrificing this cat. And some of the jokes that were originally worked into the first version of the scene make their way back into this version of the scene too. But for the most part, it's almost an entirely new scene and a new way to open the movie, so I'm sad we didn't get to refilm that. So, unfortunately, Theta is another production that got shut down. It's our third movie in a row that got shut down, and it basically put all of StabMovies.com on pause because it was such a hit to us. The script for Theta is one of my favorite things I've written because it's completely original, and it combines a lot of things that people like about the Stab movies. It has the mass killers, it has the harassment, it even has some of the same weapons. We have some of the same actors like Mark Haggett and Dave Allen come back. We have Ashley Younger in it. We have me and Rachel. We have some Stab alumni in it. And then we have a bunch of fresh faces in it. Oh, Nicole Linton also came back. She doesn't ever get a chance to film. And all of the fresh faces are also really cool people too. So it was a really great cast, and we had a really good thing going. And then, of course, the Stab 7 curse had to kind of carry over. So basically what we did was we went through and we filmed, Rachel and I, as many of our scenes as we possibly could first. And we knocked out as much of it back to back to back to back to back as we could. I think the opening scene took us at least a full night on its own, if not more than one night to film, but I think it was just one night. And then we kind of just started filming every other section of the script that was only me and her in the script first, so that we could get everything that was ours out of the way and focus on production and helping the other actors get into their characters and helping them and give them better direction, so we didn't have to worry about ourselves, even though we still had scenes with some of them too. Theta also had a cast that pulled from people all over the country. just like Stab 6 and some of our other more adventurous movies. So we had people from Connecticut and New York and Boston and Maryland, and there was a lot of different people involved in this, and it was a huge production. And when we first started the production, we didn't want it to be a huge production because we saw that the bigger productions, like the last two versions of Stab 7, were failing because not everybody is reliable. So we were really taking a chance going into this, knowing that it originally started as something much smaller. The fraternity and the sorority house didn't really exist in the original version of the Theta movie. It was far more about mine and Rachel's characters and just a few random people that we killed. And then I had this idea to kind of expand upon the college aspect of it, because in the original version of the script, Rachel and I still kill a sorority girl. And I just thought it was a neat idea to have a B storyline and a C storyline. So like the B storyline is the fraternity house, the C storyline is the sorority house, and the D storyline is actually the Mud and Bubba Tooie characters that eventually get worked in, and they get their own little storyline too that plays out. So there's actually 4 different storylines that are going on that all kind of get intermingled in this, and out of those storylines, we accomplish completing almost 3 of them in filming. So almost all of mine and Rachel's stuff is done. Every single thing shot at the fraternity house is done, and the fraternity pledges still had 2 more scenes to film that they weren't able to film. Mud and Bubba Tooie were about halfway done their stuff, and then anything involving the sorority sisters besides 1 scene never got filmed. We actually got to film all of the fraternity stuff that takes place in the fraternity house after me and Rachel filmed our scenes, and that was a super fun experience. We had a great cast of characters in that, and every character was kind of written in their own way, so that was really fun to see that not only were they diverse in the script, but they were really diverse in real life too. The actors that we got from all over the place just blended together, and they were such a real mix of people. Like, they weren't all Hollywood hotties, and they weren't all average looking people, and they weren't all white people, you know, like it was a really good blend of different looking people, muscly guys, skinny guys, fat guys, black guys, white guys. We had a great combination and diverse group, and they were all talented in just as many ways as they were diverse. So that was really fun to work with, and a lot of them brought up a lot of exciting things to their scenes. Like, Chris Bethune is amazing to work with, and he can find comedy in anything. There were even times during filming that I had to be like, all right, Chris, listen, this is not one of those scenes that you can add extra comedy into, you know, like, we don't need that there, we may not even use this shot anyways, you know? But there are some of his funny lines that get actually used in the scripts, like him having to leave the situation because of his bubble guts, you know? Like, he was that funny on set. And then Mark as the alpha male is just fucking perfect, so that was amazing to film with him and Dave and Imad together. They made a great team, and Mark and Dave really play well off of each other, and they're best friends in real life, so I know I can write awful things for them, and they'll do it for me. And that's one of the best parts about working with them, is how cool they are, and how relaxed they are, and how open they are to a lot of things that I want them to do. Dave talks about a scene where he had to rub lotion on Mark's back, and Mark kind of had a little bit of a panic attack about it, so I'll let them explain that one to you guys. And then, of course, we have to discuss Mark's famous throat slitting, okay? We were filming a scene, I swung a real knife at Mark, and it nicked his throat. Like, to the point that, like, a cat has scratched me deeper than this, but Mark had a panic attack about it and almost quit, and him and I are really close, so I was able to calm him down eventually and get him to finish the scene, you know, but it was a big debacle. But again, they both had so much to say about it, I'm just gonna let them tell you about it. Mark getting his throat hit by me was like the only time I've ever actually injured someone while using a real knife. I got trained in stage combat in college, so I'm actually pretty good at stunt fighting and stuff like that. So a mistake like that is regrettable, of course, but thank God it was a minor one and it wasn't too bad. There were a lot of great moments in Theta, and I took a lot of crazy chances with the script. I wrote in a circle jerk scene, which turned a lot of actors off from playing parts in the movies. And it wasn't anything bad. Obviously, I always try to warn people, you know, we make stuff for YouTube. This isn't going to be anything like not so crazy, like you're going to be fake jerking off. Like, it's not real. I'm not going to actually have you guys do a circle jerk. And same thing if there was a sex scene or an aggressive kissing scene. Like, I'm not going to make you guys do anything that you're uncomfortable with. My character in a dream sequence has a 3-way makeout scene with a guy and a girl, and none of us complained, you know? We all agreed no tongue, but we went for it. So there are some really extreme moments in Theta, but Theta was a great blend of horror and comedy and drama and romance all kind of rolled into one. Like, my character was dealing with the possibility of his death, a horribly traumatic breakup. He's murdering people. His best friend, we killed her boss, and so she's kind of jobless now with him too, and she's slowly becoming addicted to killing people. And like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this movie. And then the Mud and Bubba Tooie characters are just so crazy, like a hillbilly and his random like creature-like assistant that sell body parts and human teeth on the side of the road, like, and it's just crazy. And Mud is actually played by my actual cousin in real life. So we really are cousins. His name's Corey in real life, Corey Dudley. And he's my real cousin, and he plays my cousin in the movie. Just a very crazy version of Jack's cousin. And there's a lot of fun stuff we added in while we were filming too. Like we added in, I wanted to up Rachel's comedy a little because while it's fun to have her play the straight woman against my crazy, Rachel plays like drunk and like weird very well and very excitedly. So we kind of came up with this idea to have her character kind of be into Mud's character, even though he's supposed to be gross and disgusting and a hillbilly and shit like that. She's all about him. She's like so into Mud. So that was a fun thing that we added in, and it really upped the level of what we were doing. But the frat house filming was awesome, and the boys go into more detail about a lot of the stuff that we filmed there, so I'll let them explain a lot of it. But we filmed a lot of it at my friend's house. She let us use her house for the weekend, and these boys were just in this house working their asses off with these lines, outside doing push-ups. These boys can do push-ups. Push-ups. I can't do push-ups. Not this boy. No, I'm not a push-up boy. But all of the boys in Theta could do push-ups, which was amazing because I don't know what I would have done if I had gotten cast in that part and they're like, you need to do 10 push-ups. I'd be like, I can do 2. So they did a great job. Everybody, like I said, really brought a lot to their characters. And it's sad that I don't have more to say about the girls, but we really only got to film the fraternity house. So they filmed a couple of hazing scenes aside from the circle jerk. And then there was a scene where someone who had gotten eliminated from the fraternity running and the hazing rituals, they were told to kill, but it was a test and they really weren't supposed to kill him. And this led to more eliminations. And then the final brothers are accepted into the fraternity and they throw a party, which is getting very close to the end of the movie. You know, it's almost the climax of the movie, and then the ending is when we finally go to kill my ex, Will, and his girlfriend, Bridget. Which we never got to film. But we filmed this huge party scene at the fraternity house that turns into a massacre, and that was really, really fun to film and really, really complicated. We were actually going to have more extras too, and it was getting so loud and so hot in this house that we actually decided to not use more extras, because originally we were going to fill the whole first floor with people, so that it was really a lot of madness. But then once the madness began and people started running around and partying, and then like the deaths had to start, there was just so many people that if we invited anyone else, like it would have actually been dangerous to have that many people fake running around, because we wouldn't have been able to control the chaos. You'll notice in the background people running, and you may notice some of the same people running over and over again, because there are a limited amount of people and it has to look like we're slowly weeding them out. So a couple of them run by a couple of times, and Ashley chases one poor girl around for like 5 minutes throughout that massacre just because we needed filler time and to keep this girl alive until the end so that we had more people running around to make it look like a bigger party. But there was a lot of special effects in that one. A lot of the characters die in that scene. And that leads up to me almost dying. It leads up to Ashley's character dying. It also leads up to the part where I accidentally slit Mark's throat. And fun fact that I forgot to mention, the shot that we use in the movie of Mark getting his throat slit, the wide shot of it from far away is actually the shot that I cut him in. I added in a digital scrape, so that part's not real when you see it. But the reaction on his face is real because that is the real reaction of the knife just nicking his neck, but him thinking he's getting his throat slit in real life. So how could I not use that reaction? Because it was genuine. It was real. I'm not gonna lie. I know Mark will be mad that I said this. Like, I'm not happy I hurt him, but it gave us a really, really good shot. I love you, Mark. This movie was awesome because I got to do all of it with my best friend, and Rachel was really involved in the story of this too, and it was the first time that we decided that we were actually just going to be co-directors. Rachel had done so much in all of the other movies that I thought it was finally time that I wasn't the only one that was credited as a director too. So Rachel and I are both credited as the director and executive producers of this movie. Rachel gives it her all, and she works with the actors. Rachel even filmed the scenes of the boys like circling around Lamar's character, just deciding if they're going to kill him during the test scene. I wasn't even there for that. I was at home working on stuff for the scene that was coming next, and Rachel directed that entire thing all on her own and filmed it all on her entire own. And there was a lot of stuff like that throughout the movie where I'm like, hey, I gotta go work on this, I need you to take over the scene. And she knew the script so well because we had talked about it so many times and we had rehearsed our stuff so much, we really knew what was going on. And like I said, Rachel always knows what I want, so I don't question her directing skills. On a super, super rare occasion, I'll be like, actually, I was kind of hoping this would be a little bit more like this. But like 99.9% of the time, what Rachel says is what I would say, so, you know, I let her finally get her punches in too. And it's really fun to see Rachel in control and to co-direct with her, because in the beginning I taught her a lot and now she teaches me things too. She mostly reminds me to stay cool and calm, you know, like she keeps me collected. But Rachel has a great eye for shots, and I don't even know if she knows that, but Rachel can see through cameras really well, and she is good at picking out like what needs to be seen in the scene and what kind of motion should be in the scene and the flow of the scene. And she's also good at identifying people not delivering lines well and not afraid to call them out on it. So I really, really enjoy working with her, and I feel blessed that I actually had two directors on this movie, because we were both in it too, so we both had to do like quadruple duty of what we do. You know, we had to direct the movie, we had to set everything up, we had to prepare all the stunts and the effects, and play our characters. So it was really intense. Overall, what we filmed, I think, is great. Like I said, I do wish we had got to refilm the opening and film the rest of the movie, obviously. And that's just really sad. You know, like, we really thought the curse was over and that we were bringing something new and fresh and exciting to you guys, and we really wanted Theta to blow your mind. And I think if we got the chance to finish it the right way, it would have been something that led us to making a lot more original full-length movies. But all it did now was remind us that we really have to work on finding people who are super committed to working for free, and that's really hard to do. We rented this house out in Western Massachusetts, and it was planned for a very long time, like months in advance, and it cost us thousands of dollars because we had to rent a house that was big enough that it could hold all of the females of the cast, plus the 7 visiting male characters that also had to come down to film a scene there too. So we rented this huge house out in Western Massachusetts, and a day or two before production, we have a couple of actresses quit. And these actresses haven't actually filmed yet, so it's not an issue. We don't have to rework anything. We just have to replace them as fast as possible. So Ashley Younger tells us that she can replace them, and we're like, hey, that's cool, all right. As long as they're there for filming, everything will be fine. Let's get it going. Everything seems to be going according to plan, and then out of nowhere, Ashley can no longer get these girls, and now Ashley has gone missing. Completely missing, and we have no way to get a hold of her. We can't find her, and we're supposed to be filming the majority of her scenes at this house that we rented out in Western Massachusetts. We're fucked. So we have the whole cast trying to get a hold of Ashley to see what's going on, because we have 2 days until we have to be at this place, and nobody can get a hold of her. We finally get a hold of her mother, and her mother feeds us some story that we're not even going to get into, but basically Ashley and now 2 other girls are missing from production. So we're like, okay, what do we do? Like, we can't film all these other scenes with Ashley missing because she's kind of the main idea of them. We can try to film around them, we can film Maria's death scene, but then we're gonna have to rent this house again for a second time and spend another $2,000, come back out here with the cast again, most of whom we were already losing because the boys were only available for a certain amount of time and they were already done their filming besides these 2 scenes they had to film. So we were screwed. So this continues, and then the girl that is playing the main president of the sorority also quits. She has something come up last minute and she can't do it anymore, and she is working on sending a replacement, and we're like, okay, now we're down to a day. What do? We're going out to Western Massachusetts in a day. So we go through all these girls, every actor in the entire movie, even all the males, everybody. We're all trying to find new actresses to come in and take over these parts, even knowing that we have to go back and now refilm a scene because we have to replace this actress. And if we have to replace Ashley and this actress, we might as well refilm that scene anyway. So we think we get it all sorted out, and then we get confirmation that the replacement for the sorority president is coming, and then we think Ashley is now coming too. So we're all set. We pack up everything, we head out, and then we get the message that it's a no-go for Ashley, and the 2 girls that she was bringing still definitely aren't coming, and then the replacement for the sorority president isn't coming, and then Imad, who's one of the main characters in the fraternity house, has a scene with the male fraternity pledges that come into the sorority house, and now he can't come because he's stuck in New York. So we literally can film nothing. Like, we couldn't even film the scenes with the pledges because we didn't have all the actors to film the scenes with the pledges. And it was literally the biggest mess and debacle we've ever had to deal with. We set it aside and we made a separate little short film while we were out there, but that's what shut down production on Theta. Basically the entire sorority house quit and we had no control over it, and it's a really, really shitty thing of people to do. Not only did a lot of them just not show up, but a lot of them straight lied to us too about what was going on. And everybody signed pieces of paper committing to this project. Everybody knew the filming dates when they started. So this was a really fucking shitty thing to do. And, you know, we tried to hold some people responsible and accountable for it, saying, you know, you owe everybody that drove out here gas money and you have to reimburse us for all this money that we spent on production for the weekend we couldn't do. And it just made the relationships worse. So going forward, we will have clauses in the contracts that the actors sign that they will be responsible for days of filming that they prevent from happening unless it's an emergency situation. That was super disappointing, especially coming from people that we trusted like Ashley. And, you know, we don't like to call out names, but this is the reality of this situation. Everything was going smoothly until then. And, you know, Ashley was problematic with some people beforehand too. I love working with Ashley, but she gets very excited on set, and it kind of makes her stutter her lines sometimes, and she has trouble taking direction that she hasn't already given herself. She'll practice something one way so hard that when she gets on set, if you tell her to do it a different way, it can't do it. And Mark and Dave will both explain this end sequence where we tried to film with her, and all she had to do was step out of a corner, and it took like 22 takes. You know, so it's little things like that, but, you know, we put up with it because she gives a great performance. But then to lie to us and not show up and not have the actors you promised and not show up for something you committed to, and it just started this downfall of events that eventually led to the complete shutdown of what we thought was going to be our best movie to date. We thought about going back and trying to finish Theta, and we just don't think it's possible unless we start all over. So you never know, maybe somewhere in the future there'll be a massive rewrite of Theta and there'll be a new version of it that comes out. But for now you get the unfinished version of it, and I hope you enjoy every last second of it because we put our blood, sweat, and tears and tons of money into this. We still didn't buy new camera equipment, but you'll notice the production values are much higher, the costumes are better, the effects are better. We spent a lot of money to make this movie great, and it really, really sucks that so many people let us down on it.